This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
Happy Victory Monday, Rally. How you doing, man?
Oh, brother. I'm doing wonderful. And so is my stomach. You know, these victory steaks coming the way that they've come. Hey, we're doing good, man. Let's get it.
I'm right there with you, man. I actually put a tweet out saying I think I've had enough chicken and waffles for the entire year because every place I went to eat down there, other than a steakhouse, pretty much had chicken and waffles because it was on the menu. And I feel like when in Rome, you got to do it. And
yeah,
I would have had to get a seatbelt extender if I stuck around that town a little more than I did. So it's good to be home.
Oh, who you telling, man? It's excellent to be home and just to be able to, once you kick your shoes off and you sit on your couch or you lay down in your bed, you're like, a vino. So yeah, definitely, brother.
No, definitely, man. But before we get into it, man, I just want to play this clip from Sam real quick on Charles Leno.
Thoughts and prayers are with Leno and his family. You know, it's just super tough to hear something like that happen with one of our teammates, one of our brothers. So we're all behind him and supporting him and his family. But yeah, I mean, he did a good job stepping in today and kind of fulfilling Leno's role. But yeah, we definitely miss Leno out there and hope to get him back out there soon. But no, at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that are bigger than this game of football. And you know, God will be with his family and strengthen him throughout this time, and we'll continue to do the same.
So us from the DMV Mess Hall, we also want to send just thoughts and prayers out to the Leno family. We've gotten to know Charles, gotten to know his wife Jen.
Yes.
And met the kids at different events, and it's tragic what happened. And
yeah,
there are fans actually commenting on how well Cornelius Lucas played, that he should, keep the job. And it took everything in me not to curse this guy out. Like, you don't lose your job, A, to injury, and B, to a tragic loss of just what happened. And you and I had field passes for the game, and I'm walking around. That stadium is massive. It is a freaking maze. I should have left breadcrumbs to get back up to where I was, or some, chicken tender crumbs. But I'm in the bowels of the stadium, and Charles is there, and you see him, and you want to run over and just give the big man a hug and just let him know that you're thinking of him and everything else. And you're also you want to give him the space. And just as a fan base, whoever, whatever you believe in, just, ask our listeners to, send some love the Leno family way. And if you don't know what happened, I don't want to get into it, but just check out Jen's social media and you'll understand what happened.
You'll understand exactly. We'll just give a quick moment of silence for their family. Thanks. I mean, like you said, it's a tragedy and no one ever wants that to happen. But the beautiful thing is we get to try to make it up to them each and every day. We can attempt to do that. So Jen, Charles, our hats off to you.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And it's a Victory Monday, but football is also family. And a lot of those players we know, a lot of the employees and staff, I mean, it's just more than a game. And for Sam to kind of put it so eloquently, I almost feel like Sam's got like Benjamin Button disease, because I've said it before, man. Every time that kid is in front of a microphone, he really impresses me. And the question came from Nikki Javala about how well Cornelius Lucas played. And man, I put a tweet out there. I'm going back and I'm rewatching this game right now. Huge hat tip to Cornelius Lucas. I'm looking at his PFF grade. He did not know until that morning that he was going to play. He did not take any reps at left tackle during the week. Cornelius found out that morning that, hey, big dog, we need you. His pass block grade was an 89.4. That is freaking phenomenal. His run block grade was a 68.4, but his pass block was an 89. And I mean, granted, we didn't run the ball too much, but from an offensive lineman pass block perspective, Cornelius freaking dominated. He actually did better than all of the other linemen on our team, and all the other guys start all the time. So, I mean, seriously, hat tip to Cornelius for stepping in when we needed him. And, if he would have done bad, you can't fault the guy. He had no time to prep. But like Doc Walker likes to say, next man up. And that was a true definition of next man up, watching Cornelius just ball out.
You know, it goes to show you also that other things that we've been talking about is we have guys that are waiting in the wings to be able to show themselves if that opportunity presents itself. And the opportunity presented itself, and he showed up and he showed out.
Yeah, not just Cornelius. I mean, Danny Johnson on defense. You know, it was, I want to say it was sad to see Forbes not get a single snap, but to see Danny come in and actually perform and do decently well. I mean, in coverage, he had a 58 coverage grade. So, you know, he definitely did a little bit better than Emmanuel. I was personally shocked to see that Forbes didn't even get a single snap, not even when they were going 3 DBs or, you know, they're going a little extra out there. But hey, they wanted to send a message to the kid, and we'll see how he bounces back and actually responds to it.
Give him a little bit more time to process. I mean, we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. This is your time to get back in the film room, see the plays unfolding, and make a better play. Now, the odd thing is that I did see was anytime that there was an interception, he was in the end zone dapping it up. Now, I didn't think that a player could leave the sidelines and go into the end zone and be with the players. But if you look at the tape, you'll see him in the end zone dapping everybody up. And I said, well, wait a minute, was he even in this play? How did he get on the field? Couldn't that be a penalty?
I don't know. I'm not sure, because I know the players are supposed to stay between the 30s. You can't really, and you're not supposed to leave between the 30s. So that's actually a good question, man. I'll have to text John Keim and ask him, because I know you can't come off the field or take your helmet off or anything like that. Right. I remember Michael Westbrook doing that against the Giants years ago and knocking us out of field goal range. We had a 7-7 tie. But I mean, I feel like Chase does it all the time and just runs on the field, even, you know, when the offense is on there and he's coming out to dap the guys up and celebrate. So I'm not too sure, man. Maybe the NFL is loosening up the no fun league a little bit.
They've got to, because I'm telling you, this cat was in our end zone. He was in our end zone, and I looked, you know, I looked down and I said, yo, what is he doing down here? But, you know, the other thing that's weird is, I'm not sure if you notice this also, is guys will not put their mouthpiece in.
I know some guys have 2 mouthpieces, though.
Okay.
Some guys have one for show that they just want to put on whatever, and then they actually have one that they put in.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I hear you, man. It makes no sense to me, because I mean, it also helps you from concussions just by having that mouthpiece in. And, you know, I remember there were a couple guys on the line when I played back in the day that wouldn't wear a cup until one of them got grazed, and best be sure they had one on next time.
Yeah. No, man, that's something else. Before we go any further, big shout out to Donnie for listening and stopping me at the tailgate, and also Lloyd, faithful listeners. I mean, Donnie told me at the rally, he goes, man, I love listening to you guys. You give a different perspective, and it's just something that's needed. It's refreshing. So big shout out to those guys, because they basically echoed themselves of that we definitely are bringing something to the table that they enjoy listening to.
No, it was awesome, man. And speaking of the rally, I just wanted to make sure we touch base on that. It was phenomenal, man, just walking around. So I got there before you did. The team called me up and said, hey, we need a favor. Our plane's delayed. You know, we got a little something going on. We're not there yet. And I get there at 4 o'clock. That place, so for those that don't know, the rally started at 4 o'clock. That place was nuts to butts at 4 o'clock. I mean, it was packed. You could not do anything. And it was one of those spots where it's a pour your own beer wall, which I guess is nice. So you're kind of your own bartender. But the only problem is you had to check in at 2 little spots in the bar to get a wristband so you could actually activate the tap to pour your own beer. That's just how their setup is. Everyone's different. Shout out to Walters downtown DC, offered me a job because they found out I basically worked at the bar that day for the team to help the rally out. But the problem was people couldn't get wristbands. So other people were buying people beers, because that's just how our fan base is. It's one big happy family. They didn't realize that they were cutting you off after 32 ounces. So next thing you know, people are buying other people beers, but then their wristband stopped working. So it was much appreciated, but it was just kind of like a snowball rolling downhill. And then they had to wait in line to get drinks again. But I ran into so many listeners just walking around. The place was 3 floors. Brian and Christine Hall, they said they took the trip because they listened to the podcast, getting people hyped up for the game. And they decided to drive down from the Carolinas to come out. And that means a lot.
Guys. Yeah,
you know,
it really
because
does.
we try and give the perspective of fans. You're definitely a little more cheery than me, but we definitely keep it real and go from there. And it was just awesome to see so much burgundy and gold, from Commanders gear to, believe it or not, a bunch of WFT gear to old school Redskins gear, all in one place.
All 3 facets. I loved it, man. I really did love it. So what did you think as far as the percentage of burgundy and gold that was in the stadium?
I'd say 60-40 burgundy and gold.
Ooh.
And I don't know. What do you think?
I was going to say 50-50 or 55-45. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So we're close.
I mean, it was nice. It was also a little bit difficult because some of their seats are red. So you kind of blend in there. And if it'd be like FedEx where the seats are gold at the club level, then, you know, you can tell who's missing. But some of their fans are also wearing their red jerseys. But I mean, from a volume perspective, I actually heard our fans on that BS Roughing the Passer plummeting.
Oh, yeah.
Where, I mean, that was a huge shift in that game. I heard more boos than cheers at that point. And if you guys watch the game, you listen to the podcast, you watch the game. There's no way you didn't. You know exactly what play I'm talking about. And he didn't hit him in the head. At least I didn't think he hit him in the head. I got to go back and still see that replay. But that was some crap. And our fans let those refs know it, man. I actually got into it with a couple of fans around me. And believe it or not, they weren't Falcons fans. They were Washington fans.
Really? Were they for the call? I mean, I don't understand. What did you get into it about with?
So I want to say the guy's maybe as old as Mr. Burns, but every time I'd get up and go to the bathroom, he would groan. Like, then I walked past him one time. Said, "You're not that old, man. Your knees aren't that bad." And I had no idea what team he was cheering for because he wasn't rocking any gear. I mean, he was just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And you don't got to have gear to, you know, root for a team. I get it, but I was just kind of shocked. He said, "Well, I'm a Washington fan and I'm being respectful in their house and I'm not making any noise." I said, "That's not about it being disrespectful. It's about you just choosing to show your enthusiasm in a different way than me. I'm not blocking anybody's view. I'm not cursing. My team is in this end zone. We're on defense. I'm making noise. The refs blow a call. I'll make a noise." He said, "Well, it's their home." I said, "And I paid for a ticket to be in it. So if they didn't want me here, they never should have let this ticket hit the market. Then you wouldn't hear me." So, but it was all right, man. The guy just drove me crazy. So you best believe after that, I almost lost my voice. I was yelling so loud.
I did lose my voice. It's still coming back, as you probably can hear. I'm very raspy right now, so it's still coming back. But man, I gotta tell you, I was able to see my son. He drove down. He and his girlfriend. They were living in Atlanta this past year, and they decided to move up to this area. So he's been at a lot of home games with me, almost every home game. And then he said, "Dad, I want to drive down to the Atlanta game. You mind getting me tickets?" And I was like, "Okay." Well, hey, you shocked me with that one. So they were in the audience, and so it was just a great time, man. It really was. And even if we would have taken the L, you know, it would have been a great time just spending time with him and seeing him there. But it was awesome coming home with the dub.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes it easier. I mean, you definitely know over everybody else, but the rally, I walked around town. So I got to town on Thursday. I was supposed to do some media stuff and it got canceled. So, you know, it's fine. I got to hang out with some friends that live down there that are Falcons fans. And I want to say this is maybe top 3 nicest away cities I've been to. I mean, no disrespect from anybody walking around town. Got breakfast Saturday morning and ended up just walking around downtown Atlanta. And just seeing Commanders fans all over the place, left and right. And then regular people. I mean, Atlanta's a huge transplant city. So just seeing people not in gear, just saying welcome to town, and there were actually a lot of people, believe it or not, saying, I hope you kick the Falcons' ass. And then I asked them who their team was, and it was either the Saints typically or the Panthers. And I was kind of shocked that there were that many other NFC South people that live in Atlanta. But then I realized, I guess it's just kind of a metro place where people go to. But it was awesome, man.
Yeah, when I lived there, it was a great mixture of people, kind of like this area, if you will. I mean, because of the military bases here, but and Atlanta being the booming city that it is, as far as media, music, everything involved in the middle, people just gravitate to Atlanta. So I know I had a couple experiences. Mine weren't as nice as yours, but I'm walking down and the guy says, "You from Washington, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I can tell you because you got that ish on," and he didn't say ish for our younger listeners. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay.
Where was this? Was he on the way to the game or just like walking around in general?
This was, so me, when I always land in town, I always make my way to the stadium. And so checked into the hotel and I was walking past the Olympic sign that you took a picture in front of as well.
Yeah.
And Centennial Park. And so we had just stepped foot into Centennial Park and the group of guys said that. So yeah. And I also had a guy in the stadium who says, so we are winning, we're up. And the guy says, rally captain. And I'm thinking it's one of Commanders fans just, giving me a shout out or something. So I turn around, it's a Falcons fan. And he goes, when we kick your ass, I'm taking that hat. And I said, for real? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay. So I said, okay. Well, when we win, I'm stripping you down to your drawers. And the whole crowd said, ooh. I mean, it was just like high school, bro. It was ooh. And I guess he realized what he said, because if you're going to, I don't think he was going to actually take my hat, but the mere fact that he said that and didn't think I was going to fire back the way that I did. Yeah. So everybody was like, ooh. And he sat down and he didn't say anything for the rest of the game, man.
There you go.
After the game was over, nowhere to be found, bro.
I don't doubt it, man. There was actually, I couldn't tell if these people, because you got your name on the back of your jersey. I got my name on the back of mine. No offense to any of the players, but I'm not spending any money on jerseys because I'm going to be here till you're gone. So I am saving that loot and just putting me on it. And I know it's controversial for some fans, but you do you. But there are times when I can't tell if these people are yelling my name because they know me, or they're from like our hometown, or they listen to the podcast, or they're just giving me a hard time. So I just turn around and smile and wave and then just turn right back around, because they could just be, playing tricks on me and just giving me a hard time, whatever. But to me, it's not even worth instigating or just going back and forth with them. So, but yeah, it was an interesting time. And that stadium, man, I took notes and I did get to talk to ownership on the field. Actually, when you called me, I gave my boy the phone because I was literally talking to one of the owners at that point, and I can't be, and you're my boy. But if Mrs. Tailgate would have called me, I would have had my boy take the phone, because I can't say, hey, Mr. Owner of the Commanders, I have to stop talking to you right now so I can go deal with this. But I took a bunch of notes to send to them, man. They had a Delta, like, fly free zone, right? And I don't know if you saw this, but it was an option for your tickets where doesn't cost a single thing, and you take a picture of yourself and it attaches to your Ticketmaster account. You walk up to a kiosk, it sees your face, knows it's you, and you just go right through.
Wow. I mean, sounds like global entry.
Yeah, pretty much, man. This thing was freaking fast. So I got the information for it and everything else. Best believe I'm going to be passing that off to a couple of VPs and a couple of people down there. And it's not something I think we're going to get in the next, year or so, but just stuff to put in our new stadium. And I had one of the team people send me a message about my tweet because I took a picture. They took our refillable sodas away at FedEx, and I'm pretty vocal about that, and it kind of pisses me off. And I understand Coca-Cola's around the corner from them, but they actually had refillable soda vending machines that you could just do yourself. And I mean, just different things throughout the place. I feel like they really thought about the fan experience just walking around there. And I know this wasn't your first time being there, but for me, all of this was new.
Well, the other thing that I like is they have like almost the lowest price for concessions. I mean, you can walk out of there with 2 hot dogs, a soda, and some fries for $15. I mean, that's unheard of.
So I hear you there, but a lot of fans were asking me about that. But do you ever get food in FedEx with your gold discount?
Not really.
Okay.
And only because I just don't want to leave my seat.
You're in the front row. You got to walk all the way back. It just takes time.
I don't want to leave my seat, and I don't want to miss any of the action. And plus, in the halftime, I'm doing my RCTV halftime report. There's just so many things that are going on with me to where people always say, "Hey, can you come up and talk to me? Because I want to meet you at halftime, take a couple of pictures." And I'm like, by the time I do my RCTV halftime report, the clock is ticking. If you go up, by the time you come back down, you're just stuck and you're going to miss something. And I don't want to miss anything. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. And the only reason I bring that up is if you are a season ticket member for the Commanders, you get what's called Washington Gold. It's 50% off concessions. It's equal to the price of their stadium food. The only thing is their stadium food prices is for everybody at that rate. You don't have to be a season ticket member. But if you're a gold member, you're getting damn near the same deal. But the one thing I'll say is they have more kiosks to get food. They've got more little carts. I ended up just grabbing stuff from this mac and cheese cart behind my section just because it was right there and they had no line.
Convenience.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is, because I don't usually get food at FedEx just because our lines are bad. And their lines were bad, but not as bad as ours, considering it's just a bigger venue and they've just got more spots set up. Ours, we just don't have as many shops to go to. So that was nice. Beer was definitely the same price.
Well, one of the other things that you missed out on this trip, maybe another one, is when they open that dome and you see how it transforms and turns to open up. That's a sight to see, man.
Oh, I'm sure. So I'm envisioning like a camera shutter, like an old school camera shutter, kind of like twisting and turning. And I'm just glad they didn't open it, because last week my boy that's a Falcons fan said it was open and it was cold. And I got up and left my boy's house that morning to take an Uber down to the tailgate lot. And I think it was like 55 degrees. Like, I was not expecting that kind of Atlanta weather down here, because that tailgate was pretty chilly, but it was nice. I do wish it would have opened the dome so it wouldn't have been that loud, because that damn screech from that freaking Falcon just pierced your ears every time, man.
But once again, great acoustics. Taking notes for the new ownership. That's what it boils down to. And the acoustics were so good. Once again, I gotta thank our fan base for causing them to have a false start. We did it again, man. So I'm loving it. I'm loving how we are showing up and showing out and causing the team to have a false start. That's incredible, man.
It is, man. It is. It's not like it's the Giants where they're getting guys off the street that were sitting on their couch. I mean, these are guys that have been on their team and they're jumping in crucial moments. It wasn't even a false start. They had 2 back-to-back delay of games. That to me is just our fan base doing their job and keeping those guys flustered. And this is something I always say. Don't just cheer when they're at the line of scrimmage. Yell your ass off when they're in the huddle, because then they can't hear the play coming in. You see guys covering their ears. Our guys do it all the time. Whenever we go to Detroit or another dome stadium, they're covering their ears. If we're doing our job, they're covering their ears the entire time. They can't get the play call in. And next thing you know, they're getting up to the line with just a couple of seconds. And guess what? That helps our defense key in on when the snap's going to be. So we make a difference, man. I mean, Magic Johnson sent a tweet out and talked about the fan base that was there. I mean, it was awesome. And it was apparent. And I had people telling me from the TV feed, you could tell that we were in the house and that we took over those stands. And this is what Magic said. I want to thank all the Washington Commanders fans for coming out, because they helped will us to victory. We had more fans in Mercedes-Benz Stadium than the Falcons. And I believe Magic, man, he had a nice suite view. So, he probably got a little better of an angle. Oh, yeah, he was there. All of them were there. So Mitchell Rales, Mark Ines, Josh Harris, they were all there. So, I mean, it was just awesome to see because this was also a big sponsorship game. The team flew in a bunch of sponsors that came down for the game and stuff like that. So they got a wine and dine.
Yeah, well, this was a great game to do it. I mean, especially with the amount of fans that showed up. So you're definitely seeing what potentially their money is going towards.
Yeah, they do. And what was it? Rick Snyder sent me a tweet. I guess the away team gets 40% of the ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, there you go. You know, we're helping Josh out that way too. And it was nice to see. And there were actually a couple season ticket holders around me saying, damn, you guys travel well. Like, you should kind of know this because this is our second time down here in 3 years. But they were kind of shocked. And they thought that this was, we talked about last time, this was their get right game because Ritter did well the week prior. And they're thinking this week, hey, he's got a chance to actually do well again because our defense, isn't really the best out there. And this is one thing I don't get about Commanders fans. One, or Washington fans, they love telling you how long they've been a fan. I don't care that you watched Sonny Jurgensen play or you had a chance to watch our second Super Bowl. It does not matter to me at all. And they like to complain when we win. It's like, we are not the Kansas City Chiefs struggling to beat a team and getting a W. Yes, they can complain. We were up by 2 touchdowns and won by 8. And this is just me, but be happy. It's the day after the game. Let's enjoy the damn thing before you guys just start blowing it and ripping it apart.
Picking it apart, exactly. And I tell everybody, whether it's 1 or 100, I don't care. We won. We got the dub. That's what matters. We can talk about it and critique it later, but let's celebrate in this and move on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine for calling things out and critiquing, but to me, I take the day after the game to focus on what we just witnessed and give props at that point.
Mm-hmm.
After that, let's worry about the Giants on Tuesday or Wednesday this week and focus on that. And we'll talk about that during our prep for that game. But let's just enjoy what we witnessed. Sam had his first 3 touchdown game. And then people go back and criticize saying, well, he only had 151 yards. Well, you guys aren't focusing on the fact that punt return that Jamison Crowder had, that was freaking phenomenal. And I thought he was going to bust it. You're not focusing on the fact that our defense stepped up. Kendall Fuller getting that interception. Our defense gave up a ton of yards, but we had 3 picks.
Yeah.
We crucified Jack Del Rio in this defense.
The week prior. We sure did. We sure did. And it goes back to the mentality that I was saying in the stands, bend, but don't break. And we bent. We really did some bending, but we didn't break. And once again, that's what it's all about, man. It doesn't matter how you get it done, you get it done. And I know the saying was, do your job. But as I said, don't be that guy. And I didn't see that this week.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. And it was just great to hear and see what happened. But this is actually what Sam had to say about the whole do your job mantra in his postgame.
Ron emphasized this week the do your job line. I don't know what you thought about that initially, but do you think that resonated with the guys, considering it was like so many people today who really had a big contribution?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, everyone's always kind of focused on doing your job, but when he stressed it all week long, do your job. He put signs up around like you guys probably saw, and I just think it kind of makes everyone really lock back in and focus on what is my job, what am I supposed to be doing, how can I contribute to the team, and how can I help this team win football games. And I think everyone fully bought into their role this week as a team, and we were able to get it done. So we just got to continue to get it going moving forward.
And you know who did their job that we have been just super hard on?
LB1, right?
Cody Barton did his job.
Yeah, he did.
He stepped up, man. And, if we're going to criticize you, we're going to give you props too. And
bingo.
From PFF, his run grade defense was an 82.6, tackling 84.5, coverage 62.8. I mean, this was Cody's best game in the burgundy and gold, hands down. And he stepped up, man. He was making tackles. He was there. He was just doing everything he should be doing. And I don't know if it was, well, it was definitely a different game plan because you could see that Del Rio wasn't doing as much man. Maybe Del Rio listens to the show. I don't know. I know some people down there do in the front office. I'm not sure if Del Rio does, but he were playing some more zone. And yes, Atlanta was moving the ball, but when it mattered, our defense stepped up and made plays, and Cody being one of them.
Yeah. I swear he does listen to the show because everything that we asked him to do, bringing some different blitzes, he did it. I mean, it was really weird to see it, man. So maybe it's just as the sound waves are reverberating through the airways and they're hitting them at the right point. Who knows, man? But I was happy to see it.
I was too, man. And this is actually what Rivera had to say about the defense stepping up.
I thought there were some really good things. I thought, the defense bowed up when it had to, made a couple plays that were really good that really helped us. And, I just think that, again, when you need to make plays, you have to step up when you get the opportunity. And a lot of guys did today.
A lot of guys definitely stepped up. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure you haven't had a chance to go back and watch the game, but we're not doing rally change yet. But from your just recollection of just being out there, who do you think PFF gave the best grade to on defense?
On defense, I'm not sure. I don't know. I saw Chase get in there. No, I saw. Well, I'd say probably Chase or Tony. I think.
You're talking about Tuhill.
Tuhill.
Gotcha. Yeah, Tuhill definitely, in my opinion, had a better game than Chase. They gave him a 75. They gave Chase overall a 66. Chase, to me, missed too many tackles. He had a couple where he was just trying to arm tackle guys up high, and he wasn't stopping those running backs coming full speed. And there was a scramble that Ritter had where he got out of the pocket because Chase missed his ass and then left his contained lane. And next thing you know, that entire side was wide open. But seeing Tuhill step up and take advantage of the snaps that he got was great to see. And it reminded me of that year when Chase was out and you had Casey Tuhill and James Smith-Williams fill in and do a better job than the second overall pick in the NFL draft. But not knocking Chase, they gave Jamin Davis the best defensive grade total. And I'd say Jamin was all over the place. And that interception he was right in the perfect spot. He was right on the guy's hip and then jumped that ball. And we talk about Jamin's athleticism. I mean, the boy, he used it. There was a couple times towards the end of the game during Jamin's press conference, I didn't get a chance to cut his clips up, but he talked about how the Falcons were isolating Jamin on seven Bijan Robinson.
Bijan, yeah.
And he knew that was happening, and he was prepared for it. And towards the end, when they had a chance to tie the game up, there were a couple passes out there where Jamin was one-on-one with him. He just gave Bijan a shoulder and knocked his ass down. It was the drive where the Falcons got down towards the end zone, and we got that interception from St. Juice where he just floated the ball up in the air. We got pressure on him. A couple of plays before that, I'm thinking here they're going to hit not their tight end. They're going to hit the running back out in the flat. Jamin came up, gave him a shoulder. It was within 5 yards, knocked Bijan's ass down. I mean, they definitely made some adjustments in the second half. And to me, Jamin sealed the game. I mean, he had a huge game on defense. And this is actually what Rivera had to say about Jamin in that pick.
Jamin's had some hiccups in coverage in the past. That last one against Bijan seemed to play exactly what he wanted. Can you just walk through that play, what you saw from him on that?
Well, the best thing was he was in his leverage position where he needed to be. He was in a good trail position. He was on the hip, and as he saw the ball start to be delivered, he was going down to make the play on the ball and just put himself in position to make the interception. I mean, those are the types of things that he is capable of because of his athleticism and his, and again, just continue to understand where is my leverage, where is my help going to be, and if I play to that, I give myself opportunity to make plays.
And this is where I go back to fans complaining about a win. You can only play who is on your schedule, right? You beat the teams that are in front of you and you move on. Yes, the Falcons are not a great team, but guess what? They had a better record than us at the time.
Sure did.
So they were coming off of a win. We cannot help who we're going up against. All you have to do is just play what's in front of you and go from there. And we did, and we got the win. And would we have played and won if we faced a different quarterback? Maybe not. If they sat Ritter down and Heineke came in, would Heineke have brought them back? Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. But all that matters is our guys stepped up when they had to. And for once, the defense that we have been killing won the game for us.
Yeah. 3 picks. I mean, Jamie Davis's first interception, and they even said this was St. Juice's first interception, but I was like, no, it couldn't have been. But they said it was.
Really?
Are we sure? Are we sure about that?
I'd have to go back and look that up. I don't know. That feels kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it does.
I
man.
doubt that. I highly doubt that was his first pick, but I'll find out and I'll let you know.
Or maybe the bleed over could just be from Jamin, but I could have sworn that I heard that was his first, and I was like, that's not the case at all. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. We walked away with the dub.
Actually, no, it is his first pick. Going back and looking at year stats, that is his first interception. I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah,
So,
I know he's had a ton of breakups, a ton, because
yeah.
he always does the done whatever that might be, and but you know what, he didn't do that yesterday after the interception. I guess because the ball was in his hand, he couldn't do it, or people were just pushing and shoving on him so much. I didn't see it. Maybe
I don't think he did, but
yeah.
I did it in the stands. I mean, best believe you saw me mimicking his ass in the stands and just celebrating. Yeah. And Ritter had a 32 QBR. He had 307 passing yards, but he dropped back 47 times. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he had 3 sacks. So, I mean, it's just the defense gave up a ton of yards. And I got into it with another Commanders fan complaining about the win, but he was just complaining about the defense. And to me, you've got to look at the entire situation. I want to say our defense had 85 snaps. Right. And the offense just had a ton of 3 and outs. The offense had 14 plays in the second half. So the defense was out there for how long? At a certain point, those guys were gassed, man. And you wanted to give them a timeout, but you didn't want to take one on your own because Atlanta is trying to drive down that field with 1 timeout left. So it was kind of tough. And those guys were going in a turbo in a hurry up offense. So we couldn't get subs in. We couldn't get guys in there. And did you know that Montez got knocked out the game? I had no idea.
No.
Yeah, we lost Sweat.
First I heard of that. Do you know when it happened? Maybe I can kind of go back and look and see.
I don't know exactly when it happened. I do know that he got knocked out the game, and then we also lost Duran. Duran came back in, but looking at defensive snaps.
His finger or something, right?
Yeah, his finger popped out and dislocated, and then he popped it back in himself. But Tez had 33 snaps, right? And Curl had 83. So, I mean, he definitely got knocked out earlier in the game. From a defensive line perspective, John, Duran both had 69. Chase had 75. So Tez got knocked out early, and we didn't have him in there. And maybe that's why we saw a ton of Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams play at that point, and because Chase played a ton more. But our offense had 51 snaps total, right? So the defense played a hell of a lot more than the offense. So I'm not giving them a hard time at all for giving up those yards because those guys were tired. But when push came to shove, they held them, man. And yes, maybe because Ritter made mistakes, but those mistakes were because of pressure.
Definitely. Right? Well, we've always been asking, put more pressure on him, have him beat us and not the running game. Yeah,
and they shut that running game down. Bijan Robinson had 37 yards. Algier had 51. I mean, we talked about it. And, you know, it sounds like a broken record. You always want to make a team one-dimensional if you can. Well, we haven't been able to the past couple of weeks, right? So we finally did. And when's the last time all 3 phases of our football team actually showed up?
It's been a minute. I mean, it's been a minute. You mean
I can't think of
4 phases. You can't forget the coaches.
I'm not giving the coaches, well, not all of the coaches, a pat on the back. I'm
Not
sorry,
yet, huh?
but Bieniemy got too cute for me, man.
Toward the end, he did.
He calling a wildcat in there, and just you're trying to run the clock out, and you call a passing play at that point where the Falcons have one timeout left, and you want them to waste that timeout. You can take this thing down in a 2-minute warning, and you throw the ball. I mean, it was 3rd and 20, and we're in our own field at that point. I want to say maybe from like the 18-yard line. What are you doing? Run the ball, make them use a timeout, so then they don't get a break. And he just tried to outthink himself and get too cute, in my opinion. And I wasn't really impressed with Bieniemy's play calling in this game.
It was one of those plays where if it works, you're a hero. If it doesn't work, what the hell are you doing? And so we're on the ladder. What the hell are you doing?
But maybe it's just me, but if it's 3rd and long, I'm thinking 2 plays. I'm thinking draw, I'm thinking screen. That's what I'm preparing for as a defense. Well, it was 3rd and 20. It was a screen. Sam had to throw it at B-Rob's feet because the lineman couldn't get out because the defense played it perfectly. And guess what? Clock stops at that point. So it's just, you call the draw at that. Yeah. I mean, and Rivera talked about it's the little details. Well, it's the little details from a coaching staff too. You know, situationally, you know what the defense is doing. Let's play the numbers and let's use this clock, because I know we don't play with a lead that often. You know, let's.
We know what to do.
No, we didn't know what to. We were up by 2 touchdowns, man.
It does not compute.
They need to chat GPT something there and, you know, ask them what to do with some AI or something, because it was just, we made it more difficult than it needed to be in the end.
Felt like we kept them in the game. We definitely did. They had more cracks at the apple than they should have if we would play our cards right. And also, I want to say it was a punting play. We had like 15 seconds left on the clock, and they went ahead and punted the ball. It's like, take that thing all the way down to 2 and punt it.
Yeah, actually, EB from the Junkies talked about that this morning. I think he punted, Tress punted with like 7 seconds on the clock. I'm like, there is a massive play clock in front of you. And I actually got to meet Cheeseman's parents and talk to them on the sideline. I think they're going to come hang out and eat at the tailgate. And, you know, I hope they didn't listen to maybe a couple of episodes of the show during training camp and talking about his son. But, you know, you're looking, don't snap that ball yet. Give us some time. And it was, you know, 3 phases, didn't play perfect, but they contributed and they helped us get this win. And it was just a beautiful sight to see. And this is what Ron had to say about all 3 phases of the team.
This was a 3-phase win, you know, offense, defense, special teams, you know, did the things that we needed to do, put ourselves in position, gave us an opportunity.
And the defense gave the offense an opportunity with some short fields, special teams. I mean, it is so good to not have Dax Milne back there. I mean, having Crowder and someone that at any point can possibly do something. I do think if Crowder was a couple of years younger, he would have gotten that end zone.
House call, definitely.
But damn, man, to finally have a punt return that goes more than 5 yards, it's just nice.
Or fair catching it,
yeah, or worrying about someone dropping it, you know. And finally, for once, we didn't have any turnovers. You know, we won.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I mean, this is October is our month. We're going to hopefully continue on and keep this rolling into New York.
We need to, because a lot of people are chalking up the New York win to an automatic dub just because Daniel Jones is out and the offensive line's hurt. But do you guys not remember what happened the last 2 times we played New York?
Or just what happened a week and a half ago against Chicago. Let's not do that to ourselves. No. There's no easy wins in the NFL, so stop it.
Like, we cannot count our chickens before they've hatched or our W's, and we cannot look down on a win. That is just not where this franchise is right now, and that's definitely not where this fan base should be right now, considering the purgatory we've been in the past 20-plus years. But this was a tweet from Al Galdi that I was kind of shocked to see. Let's see here. 3-3 is Washington's best record 6 games into a regular season since 2018. I am shocked that 6 games in, this is the best record we have had since 2018. I couldn't believe it, but I went back and checked Al, and Al definitely is right.
Well, it reminds me of last year. We were coming back from Chicago at this time, and I did the NFL special, and I said, "What are we like, 2-4?" I mean, so
I
I
remember that, man.
I remember it because I didn't want to say it, but it was a part of their little script they had me read off. So, and I had to make it in a comedic twist, if you will. But nevertheless, I'm feeling good at us being 500. Of course, you want to see us do better or have more wins, but when you look at the overall number in the NFC East, we're right in the thick of it, man.
We are. And if Dallas loses today, I mean, we just get one step closer to doing something. Oh, and guess who comes to town? Philly. You know, I'm not trying to look too far ahead, but the Jets gave us the film breakdown on what to do against Jalen. He got flustered. He had a bad game. Still won me my fantasy, but he had a bad game. I think he had 3 picks. There are no more undefeated teams. So, you know, the 49ers,
good stuff. They went to bed
beat.
with injuries. Yeah, with injuries. I shouldn't say they went to bed, but they had a lot of injuries, so that hurt them.
But Purdy looked normal. You know, he looked like a regular quarterback at that point. So by the time we get to play San Fran on New Year's Eve, we'll have a playbook on how to take these guys down. And Del Rio proved that he can adjust. They sat Forbes and gave him no snaps, and they called a bunch of zone this week, and they made some adjustments. So I think these guys, they know that they're playing for their jobs. They know what's going on and what's on the line. And
we hope they do.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm giving them a little too much credit, but it's just, you have to think and believe that the players, they had a defense only meeting. And I don't think that really got out, and no one really talked about it. At a certain point, guys put onus on themselves to step up and do what needed to be done. And they did that this week. You know, I think the guys rallied around what happened to Charles Leno and not being there. You know, these are things that galvanize a team, and you hate to see, you know, tragedy actually have to do that. But when we were hanging out down there on the field, and I don't know if you left when they were kicking us off or what, but some of the guys, for those that haven't been on the field before in Mercedes-Benz Tunnel, when we were down there, the team had to walk by all of us as we're getting escorted off the field. And you could see the guys saying, "Thank you for coming. You know, we got this. We appreciate your support." And they know how many of us were in those stands, and being out there and supporting them, it means a ton, because the next time we go back to FedEx, I hate to say it, I don't think it's going to be that kind of turnout. I know it's sold out, and I have a feeling it's sold out because of the people up north coming down. But in the meantime,
Philly,
I think they bought the rest of the tickets because that game sold out after the Bears loss. So I think their fans said, "All right, we're not, you know, doing much right now. Let's try and spend some money down there." But I need to see consistency from this team. And that's the one big thing. Let's build upon this win, and let's take it to New York. But where do you think we need to improve based upon what you saw to try and get that dub against the Giants?
I think that Sam needs to use his legs a little more to get himself out of the problem equations that he's getting himself into. That's what I think. Once again, I'm not a quarterback, never played quarterback, never did. So, but it just seems as though if it's something isn't there, to get it done with your feet. That's what it seems like. What about you?
I agree with you. Yeah. And Sam it said 4 carries for 3 yards. I don't know if some of those were real carries or he was just scrambling at that point, but I wish they would call more design runs. There was a 3rd and short where, I don't know if you remember, Logan comes in and he goes in motion from Sam's right back across everyone else at that point, and then Logan's blocking, and Sam looked like he had a read option that he could have gave to B-Rob right up the middle. B-Rob got nowhere. I mean, up the middle was horrible today. And we did not get any yards rushing, really. Sam kept it. Logan was out there blocking for him on the end, and Sam got the first down for us. I feel if we would call more designed runs at that point for Sam, because we don't know if it's a design run where Sam's supposed to give it or not, or if Sam actually has the option. But if we were to call some more design runs, I mean, going back and watching Trevor Lawrence for the Jags, like scrambling and having some of those design runs out there, if we would do that, I think it would be better. But I need to see better run blocking in the middle, man. I really want to see those guys have a better job run blocking. And Nick Gates' run block grade was a 21.
Ooh.
No. His run block grade was a 61.
Okay.
And let's see here. The guys didn't seem to do too well at all. And I don't feel that. No, Sam Cosme was a 47, just right up the middle. Sadiq Charles was a 42. So the interior of our offensive line was just not giving guys just a chance to actually break any runs and do anything. And it's not like the Falcons have world beaters on their defensive line. Mm-hmm. I feel that we shot ourselves in the foot, and Cosme actually came up limping on one of the plays, and I hope he's okay. Rivera, you know how he likes to not talk to the training staff before his press conferences. Yeah. He didn't have an update today for anybody, but those guys need to definitely step up a little bit more, because Sam didn't have a ton of passing yards and we didn't have to drive the ball that much, but we cannot count on turnovers every week to help us win games.
No, it just won't happen that way. There comes a time when you got to stick your foot in the sand and just do what you got to do. And we're coming to that part of the schedule where you're going to need to do that. I mean, we still haven't seen Dallas yet. You mentioned San Fran. We've got New England, who really hasn't been playing that well. But even still, you can't look past any of these guys. But we're at that part of the season where these guys have really got to start really putting it together and buckling it down to make it happen for us. Yeah, and if you want to make this easier on Sam, play action passes. Guess what doesn't really work when your middle's getting blown up at that point? That play action pass, because their run block grades are horrible. They're faking that action. They're just getting torn. And to give this kid some help, it'd be great if we could actually block somebody and do something up front. And, they had better pass blocking grades, but realistically, from a run perspective, those guys had an issue. And a couple of those sacks that Sam had were coverage sacks. I get that. But a couple of those sacks, guys got blown up right off the bat. And the Falcons had 5 sacks coming into the game, right? And we talked about it before. Sam had 5 sacks. So they doubled their total. Doubled against us. So technically this was, in their eyes, a get-right game. They just didn't win, but they got right with us a little bit. So, speaking of, there's a design screenplay with B-Rob, and he had blockers out in front, and he just leveled one of the defensive backs. I mean, it reminded me of, now I'm dating myself, obviously, but as a kid, we had this game called Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And I don't know if you ever played that game where you punch the guy in the chin and his head go up. Well, that's what B-Rob did to that guy. His helmet got right underneath that guy's helmet and just blew him up, and his chin went up. And I said, man, that reminds me of Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
And if anyone goes back and actually looks at the play on the touchdown, it's a 24-yard pass. The guy's blocking downfield for B, and I don't remember who it was. I'll go back and try and find and cut the clip up. But B could have ran around. I feel that he lowered his shoulder and ran into that Falcons defender on purpose, man. I mean, he wanted that contact. And to me, if we can let him get to the second level of defenses and get a full head of steam, I mean, he was a locomotive that was not getting stopped. And if that freaking front 3 could block, B will break through those other tackles once you get to that linebacker, once you get to those DBs. So those guys definitely got to step up against New York coming up and against Philly. And I understand Philly's a different beast with their defensive line, but man, let's get right, because everyone talks about how linemen love run blocking over pass blocking. Well, you guys got to prove you can do it.
Well, what you need to do is cut up a clip of him against Atlanta last year in a similar play when he blew the guy up in the rain, and now he blew the guy up in their own stadium. So it's a little deja vu right there, man.
Oh yeah. And I think I was watching Good Morning Football on NFL Network. I never watch NFL Network, but I'm on the airplane and I'm sitting there. I got nothing else to watch. I guess there's a feature, and those of our listeners that play Madden will know what I'm talking about, but it's called Angry Run, where you're running the ball with your character and you just kind of stiff arm and then lower your shoulder and knock people down the game. And they're actually asking for fans to send in highlights and clips of their runs, and they're putting them on TV, which kind of makes me want to go back and play Madden, but I feel like I'm too old and I can't learn any new tricks at that point. But
no,
it was great to see, though, man. It was great to see him do that, because if anyone listening, go back and watch that clip, because B leveled that guy, and just like Cap said, just popped his head right up.
Mm-hmm.
But who gets your rally chain, man? Who gets to wear that rally chain for you this week?
Can I break it down the middle?
Is your rally chain?
It's my rally chain. So I got to give Jamin Crowder. He's got to get half of it, and then I got to give it to our linebacker. I got to the fact that he ended the game with the pick. Jamin, got to give it to Jamin, and James and the Double J. They both get it to wear half of it.
No, that's perfect. I mean, I don't think this game we go up by 2 touchdowns if Crowder doesn't get us down there. And at a certain point, it's like, damn, you know how we are in the red zone. We're not exactly that efficient down there. So I'm thinking, Crowder, you couldn't have a little bit further, man, make it a little bit easier. But, the guys ended up punching it in. I'd have to say, for me, Cornelius Lucas, definitely coming in, not having any time to prepare and having performed as well as he did. And because you took Jamin, I'm going to say Cody. Cody had a good game, and everybody, all the radio stations around town were just crucifying him. And those guys try and stay off social media, but they're hearing it, whether it's first hand or second or third hand. And hat tip to those guys, man. Hat tip to Barton. I mean, people are calling Barton a bum and just this and that. And, me being one of them. But you definitely get to rally chain. I know, man.
Right, good.
You ain't a bum if you make the NFL, but
that's right.
He was playing a little like it before. But like I said before, I need consistency. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I hear the theme. Welcome to Atlanta, where the players dwell, where the players play, shall I say. That's a good song. If you guys haven't heard that, check it out. Welcome to Atlanta by So Def. But hey, the music is playing, which lets me know that we are coming to another close of the DMV Mess Hall. And we thank you guys for riding with us this far. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, hit the like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, because all it does is bring us as a fan base closer together. Until next time, Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain, you rep it hard, but don't rep it at all. And we're Sam Howell.